Hello everyone.
อาจารย์
So it's now time to understand this very moment. It's gone, everything. To understand it is to begin to know what it is. Otherwise, there cannot be the understanding of that as it is. So the point is to just live without understanding the truth of what is there now. Each moment is now, is there all the time, not the same. Never be the same, just pass on unknowingly. And that is the absolute truth. And no one can understand the truth of it at all without hearing, just to understand what is really now as it is. Otherwise, how can there be the understanding that it's not there anymore? What is now appearing is not that which is gone. And so what just heard, gone completely, and what is heard now, the new one, never be the same at all. To consider whether is this true or not, no matter the situation is, the story is, whatever is there, the truth is that actually no one can make it right at all. It's already there, unknown, that it's conditioned by many, many different conditions. So what is there is so much different from one another all the time, from moment to moment. And this is the reality, the truth that can be known because it's there. There cannot be any understanding when it's not there at all. And when it's there without hearing again and considering again, the truth cannot be known. That's why we keep on just talking about the truth of what is there to begin to understand actually what we're talking about or thinking about. They are gone. And the next one is covered again because of ignorance, not understanding the truth, until it becomes the object of listening about it to understand the truth of it. What is it? This is the most important thing. Even it's there, it's so very, very difficult to understand its truth because it is the moment when it is object of misunderstanding or ignorance, not any attention, not any word which will lead to the understanding of the truth of it. That is only that. For example, what is there now? Appearing. It's only that. And only that is so true. It is there. When there is seeing, only there, and then gone. And the seeing is no one. It's conditioned to just rise to experience what is there. That's why there can be the understanding of no one at all, nothing at all. Only different realities conditioned by many conditions to just arise and appears and then disappears every moment. It's so true that it takes time to consider, to be familiar to the way it is, as it is, even as it is. And now we are talking just about what is there, as before we talk about it, exactly the same. But the idea of something is always there. And that is not anyone. It's only thinking, different from seeing, following that which is seen, and the idea about that keep on taking it for something permanent all the time, in life, in any life, in every life, when there's no understanding. So now, the understanding of what is there can be known by oneself with how much it's there. It's just talking about the story about it, or it begins to understand what it's talking about. Is this which is heard? Is this which is heard? Or is this which is now appearing? Just talking about it to understand the truth of it, little by little, to know the truth that even it appears as people and things, but in truth, what is there? the absolute truth. Nothing and no one at all. How can there be anyone in that which appears as different colors? Only the idea of taking something as shape and form to be this and that. And remember, it's so very, very firm that it's something all the time. But the truth is, it's not as we have thought about it before, but it's only that which appears only when there is seeing right now. And they see all day because many things appear from moment to moment all day. But the truth is that there must be the reality which arises. No one can stop its arising because it's by conditions for its arising to arise and be that which experiences now. What is seen is experienced by condition. What is heard is experienced by condition. So no matter what is there, when there is the understanding of the conditions for its arising, it can be the moment of understanding the truth. It's not there anymore because condition is arising, only that. And then when it has risen, it's gone. That's all. And this is moment to moment, life to life, no matter in what situation or what story about. It's only that which arises from birth to death and arises again from birth to death, on and on and on and on, until right understanding is there to understand it and understand what conditions such and such different moments, different realities, until the understanding can let go ignorance and wrong understanding of what is there, which accumulations to not understanding it at all, little by little. So everything is just the same. And it depends on how much understanding from hearing about what is there now. Does it begin to understand that which appears now as it is? No need to look for it or go to find it anywhere because it's just right now to be understood. Even it has gone, the other reality is there again and again and again to see that each moment is not the same, even it looks like the same thing, but actually it's not. To understand that this is life. So no matter what is there, right understanding can arise by conditions instead of ignorance and attachment and wrong understanding. It's there little by little about that which is now appearing. So there can be the understanding of different degrees, different levels of understanding. The intellectual understanding begins to understand what is there one by one as it is. It and gone. How can it be taken for anything permanent as I, or something, or someone, or the world? Because actually, in truth, behind the scene, what is there appears something arising and falling away all the time. So what is taken is just a sign or the image of what is now arising and falling away. That's why before there can be direct understanding of what is there as normal, usual, common as it is. Now, it needs the right understanding which begins to develop, to know that it's there now, to be known. And no one can make it to be awareness of that reality and understand it at all. But by conditions, it begins to get closer and closer in a day to that which is there until it's there. So there are conditions. The understanding of condition for its arising is there. How come to be aware with understanding of the truth that one has heard before about that which is now appearing? So very natural, like any moment of thinking, but it's not thinking. It's the moment of being aware of that as it is, beginning to understand it little by little. No one knows at all. It's there and gone all the time, performing its function different one from that which has no understanding, no awareness, no right understanding of what is there appearing, only when it's there to be known. Otherwise, it cannot be known when it's not there at all. That's why everything is so natural, usual as it is, depending on now there is ignorance, but then it's right understanding. So only that both arises and falls away, no matter ignorance or understanding or whatever. It cannot be there as long as it seems to be there as nimitta. But in truth, it's not there anymore. So the understanding develops on to understand the truth. And that is not permanent either, because it's different from ignorance to be understanding. That's all. Everything goes the same. Only that which begins to be less and less ignorance and less clinging to that as before, as something. That's all. Only that. And we are listening to the truth of what is there now. For right understanding, to understand the moment is there. And clearer than that, as it has developed enough to the degree when it is aware of that particular reality, the arising of that and the falling away of that begins to appear as nimitta, see, of only that which is there, arising and falling away, when it's only one characteristic. But when there are many things around as now, how can what is now appears as it is, arising and falling away? Impossible. Only when one is there. And even there are many things like now, because it is not just the moment of when it appears so clear to the other level of panya. It is just the beginning. So it's different from moment with ignorance to be moment with awareness and understanding, while the other appears. But the moment of that which is aware and understand that is different from moment when there's no understanding and there is ignorance. That's why there can be the understanding of different reality when it's there only by understanding, not by anyone at all. Develop little by little from hearing and considering. No one knows what are there arising, performing its function. The cetasikas, the wholesome cetasikas, how many are there, and they are falling away, arising and falling away, just arise to perform its function and gone, until it's known one by one, little by little. For example, attachment now is there, unknown, until there is wanting something. Even that is so natural in there. Just stretch out one's hand. There must be wanting to do that. Otherwise, how can it move from moment from this to there, from here to there at all? That's why each moment can be studied depending on conditions. No one there at all. Hearing, considering enough and let go enough. And there are conditions for different moments, no matter what. But when there is the understanding of what is there appearing as it is, no matter what would be the object of right understanding. Right understanding is ready to understand that as it is. So natural. And this is Dhamma, the way it is. So natural as it is. And once it's directly experienced, Sanya remembers it to understand the different moments between not understanding and understanding. But it's so weak because it doesn't arise very often as the other conditioned realities as ignorance, attachment, and so on in a day unknown, until strong enough to condition again and again, little by little, until it's more developed, more conditions to arise, not at will, but it depends on conditions. No expectation whether it can be aware of the moment when it's so very pleasant feeling or very painful feeling, or lopa or dosa is so strong, or very little, very subtle. Who knows what is there beforehand, before it has arisen? There must be condition for what is now appearing and gone, and then again arise again, appear again, never be there again. All the time in life, just move on moment to moment, non-stop by conditions. So, is there anything permanent? Is there anything can be taken for things very permanent? People, world. The truth is the truth. Just having conditions to hear the truth, to see the valuable moment of understanding the truth, and understand that there can be more understanding when there's more hearing about what is there, more and more, to understand the truth of it, little by little. Better than not understanding the truth of what is there, for sure. But it depends on accumulation. Who can see the value of understanding the truth and not understanding what is there from birth to day? Just wishing, clinging, expecting, but what is there is beyond expectation each moment. So it's just living in the dreaming world, just dream about this and that. It's just a dream. The truth is that it's not that anymore, what one is thinking about, wanting it, clinging to it. It's not that anymore. So no matter what we are talking about, the absolute truth is just a moment of what is there as it is, known or unknown, as it is, or not as it is, as before. And this is so true in life, every life, each life. So we can talk about anything to understand more and more, better and better, clearer and clearer, little by little. But so very useful, so very valuable, because what is there can be understood as it is. And the truth is that it's only a moment of what the conditioned realities arising and falling away all the time.
Talking about the dream world, Ajahn, at the end of the session on Saturday, we were talking about Rupakaya, the collection of rupas, and how it's always taken for a body or something, and something that is so beautiful and something to be decorated and something that gets sick and this person and that person. But actually the Rupakaya just refers to the different rupas to be understood one at a time when they appear. And in the text, in the Satipatthana Sutta commentary, it refers to how the kaya is a collection of rupas, and also how it is that which is foul or not beautiful at all. And it refers to how the Rupakaya is referred to first because in terms of the Vipallasa, taking what is foul for beautiful all the time. So when there's not understanding that it's just rupa that is seen, just rupa that is heard, just rupa that is touched, just collection of different rupas, there's always the idea of a body or something, the fantasy about this body that's sick and so on, no understanding of the different realities arising and falling away. So I found it helpful, your reminders on Saturday, that the emphasis on the word kaya to be understood, because usually it's always misunderstood. It's always taken to mean a body or something, not just the different rupas, which are referred to as kaya rupa. I don't know if you have any further comments on this topic.
And when there is the understanding better of just one reality at a time, for example, the collection of the rupas, it means that there are many different rupas there together. And what can be known is just one characteristic, which cannot be changed from its truth as it is. For example, hardness. For everyone, it looks like so beautiful together with other reality like colors and other things, as something different shape and form. But in truth, what is seen, in order to know that actually what is meant by no thing and no one, it is the characteristic which is seen. So when what is seen is just only that which is seen, not anything, how subtle it is that it impinges on the eye base and it's there seen and then gone. But the succession of what is there arising and falling so very quickly appears as something all the time. But right understanding begins to understand it is not as it look, it's not as it appear at all. It's only that which is seen. So the moment of seeing, there can be the understanding of that which is seen. We don't have to use the word rupa or body or anything at all. Only that different from other thing. It's not heard, it's not sound which is heard, it's not smell, but it's true because it's that, it's seen. And whenever it's seen, there must be that which experiences only in a moment. But that moment falls away instantly, and the other moment succeed instantly, keep on. Just experience just like the same, but actually it's not the same one. And this is the truth, the absolute truth. So when we talk about the rupa, for this Sotapanna, for the Sakatagami, for the Anagami, for the Arahata, rupa is exactly the same, but the understanding of the truth is different. And the clinging to it is different too. For example, the look of what is seen now is pleasant for everyone. Even Sotapanna, Sakatagami, Anagami, or Arahata, who can change the look of that which is seen when it's pleasant. It's so pleasant too. But the clinging, the understanding at that moment is different. For Sotapanna, it's just a reality. Even clinging is a reality. Whatever is there is a reality. But for Sakatagami, the same thing begin to be known clearly as even is there. It shouldn't be, or it in reality must be only it. But the clinging there only make it different. That's why Panya begins to understand the different level of attachment to it. And then when there is more understanding, the truth is the truth, which condition the moment of having less and less attachment. That's all. That's why understanding the truth, the absolute truth of even is so ugly, it's so unpleasant. But the truth is that whatever is there just arises and falls away. the same for everything. The common characteristic of each conditioned reality, no matter it's pleasant or unpleasant, is only that which appears and then disappears. That's all. So all depends on the understanding of that which is there as it is. From no understanding at all, begin to understand that it cannot be taken for anything like head and toe and anything. Just that which is hard now. Where is the head? Where is the toe? It's only hardness and it's gone completely. Otherwise, there cannot be the experience directly of the truth of that which just there and then gone. No matter what, right now. Even its hardness, if there is no thinking about finger or toe or whatever is there, it's only hardness. So the understanding of hardness to see the anicca, dukkha, anatta for any level of understanding to experience the truth stage by stage, even sotapanna or sakatagama, the same. But the feeling towards it, the panya towards it, begin to see the useless of it, no matter it's so pleasant, it's not more anymore. See, stage by stage. And that can be developed because it begins to understand the truth. So all depends on conditions as parami and of wholesome cetasika, whether it is level of satipatthana or indriya or pala and so on. So natural, just as it is by conditions. But what is there, which hasn't been there before, is the understanding of the truth of that which appears, begins and develops and on until it experiences that with right understanding, clear and clear and clear and clear, until the truth appears as one has heard about it now. So the truth is the truth.
Yes, and with regard to the vipalasas, the perversions in the text, it mentions one reason the four satipatthanas, the objects of satipatthana, are grouped as they are, is because with regard to the kaya, the rupa kaya, the collection is taken for something beautiful when actually it's foul, but by understanding the different rupas, the foulness can be understood, and that the Vedana, the feeling, whatever feeling arises, dukkha, but especially the pleasant feeling is taken for something that gives pleasure and is pleasurable and to be desired. And we know that any reality is dukkha, but it mentions this particularly with regard to Vedana because one clings so much to pleasant feeling. And that with regard to chittas, each one is impermanent, but it's taken for something that's lasting, a mind that's lasting, or a state of consciousness that lasts, but actually each chitta arises and falls away instantly, completely gone, not worth clinging to at all. And then with regard to all dhammas, they are anatta. So whatever reality it is that arises is actually not in anyone's control. It's not self, not anyone, not anything. So it's just interesting that they relate it to the vipalasas, beginning with the rupas that are taken for something desirable or pleasurable when taken as a whole all the time, forgetting that even now each rupa experienced, each rupa of the body is foul. And it's in this section where it mentions about how the true bhikkhu is the bhikkhu, the one who develops satipatthana, who follows the path. And this is the true meaning of bhikkhu. So if there's no understanding of what is foul now, what is impermanent, what is the reality appearing, then one, in this sense, cannot be said to be a true bhikkhu, because it has to refer to the following of the path.
Sarah, so usually we hear that the three characteristics of all realities are anicca, dukkha, anatta. So when talking about foulness, does it I don't know whether it can be counted as the characteristic of realities, but it's, as you said, it's one of the vipallasa. So how should we understand this?
Like, I think even the rupas that make up what we call the fingernail or the hair, when we see someone with beautiful hair and it looks so beautiful, but actually each rupa is foul because it arises and falls away, and there's nothing pleasant or desirable about it. It's not beautiful at all. It's just a rupa that falls away instantly, that ages and then dies immediately. So I think it is the characteristic of any conditioned reality that actually it's foul. In this sense, we can say even any feeling is foul because it's gone immediately. It dies. Whatever arises dies and falls away. But perhaps Ajahn can say more about the foulness of conditioned realities.
Okay, thank you.
When we use the word foulness, what is foul? The beautiful thing or only the ugly thing? See? So the panya which understand the foulness of the arising and falling. That's why even Sotapanna experience directly the arising and falling way, as it is as itself, but the foulness of it has to be known on and on and on, to let go, clinging to it, to become Sakatagami, Anagami, and at the end, Arahata. So it's not the appearing of foul, but the foulness of whatever is there, which just arises and falls away, become to appear as foulness, no matter what level of beautiful or ugliness is there. The truth is that it has to be the understanding of the moment when it's not there, and no one and nothing, just that which arises and falls away more and more, from not appearing as it is at all until it becomes to show up little by little to the level of Sotapanna, but not enough until just that which arises and falls away. No misunderstanding anymore. So what about the other thing? When it's not misunderstanding or wrong understanding, it's still foul, the foulness of what is there as it arises and falls away. So foulness. So it depends on level of panya experiences it. So see the foulness of what is there, which arises and falls away. And only that which does not arise and fall away is not foul. Nibbana only, see, to understand the truth. So panya experiences the nature of that which as it is, from the beginning, no understanding, and begin to understand until understanding so great, so much enough to let go each stage by stage to the moment when no clinging at all. After becoming anagami, see, there is still the clinging to the bhava, no matter what is there. But even the bhava itself arises and falls away. Even there is no wrong understanding and dosa, but that is something which can be object of clinging as long as it doesn't appear to Panya as so far, to let go. Whatever is there, arises and fall away, is useless. That's why it depends on understanding. For example, just once we talk about metta, see, who can see the danger of not having metta? It's so common. Why do I have to metta? See, someone might think like that, not understanding that it's so dangerous, not being metta, not having metta. When metta is not there, what is there? When it's not metta, see, akusala towards everything and everyone. Is it useful for that moment to arise, to have such realities? So the danger of metta is known by different degrees of understanding. As when it's seen more danger, it is the moment when understanding is so dangerous not to have metta. But for some people, it's so common. Why do we have metta? Some might think about the poor, the different nationality, and so on. Just think about oneself, one country, one's people, one's friend. Is that not enough? See? So only Panya can see more and more danger of what is there, no matter whether it's wholesome, but it arises and falls away. Nobody can stop the truth. It's not there anymore. Just that which arises to be that and then gone, no matter what. That's why all depends on Panya to understand the truth of what Buddha taught, each word from the very beginning, beautiful in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end.
With regard to the anagami, I read that because there's no more clinging to sense objects, even though there's still subtle clinging to bhava, that there's no more taking what is foul for being beautiful at that stage because of, but maybe it's just referring to sense object, no more taking anything experienced through the senses for being beautiful. But like you say, there's still the subtle clinging to bhava. So perhaps it's just not referring to that.
So for when we talk about foulness as subject of object of samatha bhavana, so it's different. It's in different sense than the foulness that is talked about here. It's more like foulness of the concept of the body or something like that, right? But here, the foulness, as you and Achan explained, is like the extension of
Whatever rises.
Yeah, rising.
Even kusala states are foul in the sense they fall away instantly, just the object of clinging. But I think that even now, when reflecting about how, like the different rupas we were referring to, Gaya rupas that are taken for something, or a body, or a nail, or a hair, how each rupa is foul because it falls away, but it leads to all these ideas of people and beauty. So I think even while reflecting now, it can be object of calmness. So when we talk about foulness as the object of calmness, it has to be the wise reflection from the beginning. Otherwise, it cannot be calm. So it can be any aspect of considering the foulness of what is seen or heard or thought about. like looking at a corpse or a skeleton. It's just what will happen. It's just the inevitability. There are just these different rupas. It's just dust, just different earth element. In the end, nothing beautiful about it. So,
and for those who have those objects before the Buddha time, like when there's no the Buddha's teaching, they consider the foulness based on the consideration of is in the end it's all its own dust, something like that. Can't hear you, Sarah.
or even now, what is the body but just different kinds of dust and pus and so on, just different rupas arising and falling away, nothing beautiful about them at all. Even when it's just conceptual understanding. And just at any moment when it's wise reflection, no clinging, no desiring for this or that rupa, collection of rupas or the body or anything. So it can be daily life too, but with understanding of different levels, different kinds. But again, let's see if Ajahn would like to add more to this.
Just before Ajahn comes in, would you mind repeating your last question? Because I didn't quite catch it, please.
Yes, I was thinking about the when there's no Buddha's teaching, we know that samatha is still being developed, and so the people who might have that object like foulness, they must not have the same considerations about realities than the people who hear the Buddha's teaching. So in that case, the consideration of the foulness is based on what?
Well, the conventional idea of the foulness of the body.
Mm-hmm. The conventional.
But no understanding of realities as realities.
Okay. So like we say it's dirty, it's
smelly, yes,
smelly.
and oozing pus and so forth. That kind of foulness, as I understand it, yes, as a condition different for being detached from the body and not having attachment to the body.
Okay, I think it's clearer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Usually, I think that people just think about the object of calmness, but what about the moment? At that very moment, is it calm? To just want to have calm and find the object to be calm. But what is the moment of calmness and what condition it? For example, just talk about calm and the object to develop calmness. What about right understanding? Can it be done without right understanding? Just find the object to be calm, just set it in front and try to think about it. Is it calm or not calm? Wanting, not seeing the danger of anything, just want to be calm. So is that calm? And is that the development of calmness or samatha? Impossible. That's why it's not just a matter of following the word, that this is the object to develop calmness. But what about calm? The one who doesn't have any understanding at all. Can the moment of calm develop without understanding? And what is calm? See, no understanding at all. So how can that be object for calm? So in truth, what is calm? To develop calm or calmness. No understanding Can it be calm? And more, no understanding. Can it be calm? Just concentrate on the object without any understanding at all. Impossible. That's why people in the old days, before the enlightening of the Buddha, as much as they could know, is to see the danger of akusala to the degree that how come to be clinging to such and such which is around, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, the sensuous object all day in life. If they didn't see the danger of clinging to such object, how can they understand the truth of moment of being calm and not calm? Of what degree? Not level of understand the truth of no self, but at least there must be a moment of understand the difference between wholesome moment and unwholesome moment. Otherwise, there cannot be the moment of develop high degree of kusala than just dana and sila. So even the development of calmness has to be panya, which sees the danger of the sense object, which is the object for clinging, usually when there's no right understanding of any degree at all. For example, today, does anyone would like to develop calmness? Just want to have calm without knowing the moment of calmness or no calm at all. So in order to understand the truth of anything, there should be right understanding of what we're talking about. To understand the truth, for example, can the skeleton be object of calmness? That's why many people think that just look at it and then they will be calm or calmness. Just look at it. What about moment of wanting to look at it? And what is it? Is it not sensuous object? Just the idea of taking it for the way one think about skeleton. But even that, can that be object of attachment? No calmness at all. And why is the object of calmness? What conditions such? Different moments must be conditions. And what is the conditions? Otherwise, people just sit and concentrate on whatever is there and think that it's calm, but actually it's not. When there's no right understanding of what is there, it's just wrong understanding, not understanding what calm is. How can it develop? No understanding at all, no calm. And when there is understanding, is it not calm? That's why each subject or each word should be considered carefully to understand the truth of it. Anyone who does not understand the moment of calmness at all, can that person develop calmness? And is calmness panya? Not at all. But panya knows what calmness is. When there's no panya, it's just the word and taking something as calm, being calm or calmness. Just sit still. Some might say that he's so calm, but actually what is there?
Yes, I think we're very used to thinking about the outward appearance, the situation, the story, like you say, the object. Oh, if it was calmness of this object, what would the thinking be, and so on. But actually forgetting about this moment and understanding now the clinging, the subtle clinging or not so subtle clinging, trying to get the meaning, trying to work out, trying to see what is calmness and what isn't, and judging this or that situation, and just forgetting all about the understanding of what appears right now. Because if there is no understanding and no knowing what is kusala and akusala, then there cannot be any development of calmness of any kind anyway, no matter whether it's samatha bhavana or satipatthana or any bhavana. So it all has to come back to understanding now. And then there's no clinging or minding or wanting to be calm with skeleton or death or foulness or anything else as the object, because there's more understanding, and no matter whether it's metta or reflection on death or understanding of reality or ignorance as usual, there is the understanding that each moment, each chitta is conditioned anyway, nothing to be done at all.
And when there's no understanding of what calmness is it useful to talk about the object of calmness? That's why there must be the understanding of what we say, calm or calmness. What is it? For example, is calmness panya? Not at all. So what is it? Wholesome or unwholesome? No understanding. Just reading about calmness, reading about to develop calmness. But what develops? When there's no understanding, is it calm that one thinks that one is developing calmness? Not at all. So all depends on understanding of each level of wholesomeness. So no matter what we are what we are talking about should be the object for understanding, to understand it, not just talk about it. So when we talk about calmness, what is calmness?
Tam, do you want to answer the questions?
It's the Pasadi Chetasika.
The name?
Well, it should be understood by Panya, of course. The characteristic of it should be understood by Panya. But my interest was not really on the samatha, but just on the aspect of foundness, because it's interesting to see that when talking about foundness in the sense of vipallasa, it refers to a deeper understanding of the conditioned nature of realities, as opposed to our usual understanding of foundness as in the case of samatha. So that's why I was asking about these two differences. But I think through your explanation and Sarah's explanation, and also John's, I think it became clearer. And it's very deep to think about the foundness of conditioned realities, because I think really we never really consider this aspect of reality.
And does Passaddhi Cetasika arise with each moment of wholesome citta?
Yes.
So what is the development of calmness?
Is the development of the Passaddhi of the Passaddhi Cetasika with understanding. With the understanding that can never be developed.
And how to develop Passaddhi Cetasika?
By understanding the difference between the danger of akusala and the difference between the akusala chitta and the kusala chitta, seeing the danger of sense objects.
If there is no understanding of what calmness is, can there be the development of calmness?
Cannot.
So another way of answering Ajahn's question might be to say, understanding the Passaddhi Cetasika when it arises naturally.
Yes, yes.
Because it does arise in daily life from time to time.
Right.
So what about any kind of kusala?
Any kind of kusala?
It's calm already.
Yes.
So does anyone would like to develop calmness? To develop kusala more and more? What?
I think by conditions, there can be different moments of kusala in a day, but not necessarily with understanding. So if there is condition for the understanding of the Passaddhi Cetasika when it arises, there is the development of calmness. But we don't need to think about developing it by itself.
Right now, can there be moment of being calm?
There can be, if there's understanding, for sure.
What's the object at that very moment of calmness?
Well, if there's understanding of the realities, or we can say that the concept of realities, like we can say about seeing now or hearing now. Or
so at moment of understanding the truth of reality, is it calm?
Yes.
And it is Dhammanusati, the object, the development of calmness too.
Yes, yes.
No need to look for skeleton to become.
Right. By the way, so when talking about Dhammanusati, so we consider the truth of the Dhamma at that moment. But sometimes when we consider about the truth of the Dhamma at this moment, we also think about the Buddha. So I'm kind of confused a little bit, like the line between Buddhanusati and Dhammanusati. Could you say a little bit more on this point?
Who taught what we heard about the truth?
The Buddha.
So we know and understand who's the Buddha and who taught what we have heard right now, the truth of everything. So thinking about his virtues, his great wisdom, his great virtues, and his great compassion. Is it not like we are thinking about his virtues?
Yes.
But the others at all. At that moment, it is sati, thinking about the virtues of the Buddha. It is Buddhanusati. Anytime paying respect. It is the moment of thinking of his virtues, at moment of paying respect to him, the enlightened one, the one who shows the truth. For anyone to begin to understand the truth of what is there in samsara. Not thinking about the other at all. Not about Sariputta or Mokkhala or anyone, but the enlightened one.
So, your question about Buddhanusati and Dhammanusati is in the context of samatha, is that right?
Not necessarily. Just like when we hear about the Dhamma and consider about the truth of Dhamma, there can be moments of having gratitude towards the Dhamma or towards the Buddha.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's not, we're not talking about understanding of realities at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, like in other, there's also Sanghanusati, but it's not really critical to know whether that moment of kusala, when one is contemplating the Dhamma and thinking also about the Buddha,
Mm-hmm.
They're not different moments of kusala, as I understand it. It's all just a way of classifying, if you like,
Okay.
kusala into different sections, so that it's not as though there is one is being selected for development or anything like that, or that one has to know whether it's Dhammanusati or Buddhanusati. But if it's kusala reflection, then that's what's important, the moment of kusala.
Okay, that's good.
And it's now, so even at moments of reflecting on Dhamma or the virtues of the Buddha that made it possible for us to understand the Dhamma. It can moments of kusala with calm, but there can also be moments of clinging. So the difference between when it's calm and not calm can be known right now, no matter what words one calls it, or whether it's Buddhanusati or Dhammanusati or anything else, can be understood right now.
So earlier, Ajahn mentioned about Sariputta and Mokkhalana. So when thinking about those people, for example, the Aryan, those instances are what is classified as Sanghanusati, right?
Those who've been enlightened and who have conveyed the teachings, who've understood and made it possible for us to hear the teachings, who have been enlightened to the truth, those who have followed the way as taught by the Buddha, so including Sariputta, Ananda, anyone, any enlightened being.
Yes, I think it includes any enlightened being, because this is the proof, if you like, that the Buddha's teaching is capable of, is correct, because all these people have proclaimed enlightenment on the basis of having followed the Buddha's teaching. And that is the support, gives one confidence that what the Buddha taught could be developed and lead to enlightenment.
Okay. Thank you.
And there can even be the understanding now that in truth, no one here, no one there, no husband, no son, no Sariputta, no Ananda, no Buddha, just different Chitas, Cetasikas, and Rupas rising, passing away that we refer to as this one or that one. So there can be calm, even reflecting wisely how in truth no one ever was, no one is now, and no one will ever be in future, just different dhammas. So it's actually the qualities one's paying respect to or appreciating so much. The great panya, the great compassion, and so on.
Something on the side, because yesterday we just happened to read the sutta about the 6 kinds of nusati, anusati, including Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and so on. And Lian mentioned that in other traditions, they take the practice of reciting the name of the Buddha and thinking that is the main practice leading to enlightenment or something like that. And we know that in Theravada, they also have that practice of reciting Buddha, Buddha. I don't know whether that has any roots in the Tipitaka or something not totally invented by people of these days.
I think it's a complete wrong understanding of what is meant by Buddhanusati and wise reflection on the Buddha's virtues and qualities. So they think that just by focusing or concentrating on the word Buddha, 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 that somehow it will lead to something wholesome and calm. And that's why, as Ajahn said, there's no point thinking about the subject of calmness like Buddhanusati if there's no understanding of what calmness really is, if there's no understanding of what is kusala and akusala, if there's no understanding of the distinction between clinging and non-clinging, clinging and detachment with understanding. So without any understanding of what is true now, of what is like calmness now, or clinging now, or kindness now, then one just takes an object and focuses on it, thinking one's following the right path, but actually it's completely the wrong path.
Yes.
And I think that this, like other practices, it's not as though they plucked it out of thin air. There may well be, I have an idea there are some references that, taken wrongly, can support that kind of notion. Like, for example, there's in the section on breathing, rise and fall of breath, there's reference to the rise and fall of the abdomen. And so then some people have as a practice, focusing on the rise, but it's all a misinterpretation of the mention that is found in the teachings. So it's not as though there's no mention of Buddha or similar there, but it's not meant to be taken in the way that it is.
Okay, thank you.
When we were talking last week about Anne's difficulties and talking about how there are just different dhammas, and Jan made the comment about how understanding has to be so courageous to the truth and to understand that there's really no one there and no one who can do anything. And it's so very difficult to understand that even a moment of calmness or wise reflection just arises by conditions, not by following any practice, not by doing anything. And how any kind of practice or even development of kusala to the highest jhana without understanding of realities can be said to be the wrong path, the miccha patipada, because it's not the understanding of the truth of life as just Dhamma now. And this is the only way, as it talks about in the sutta, that leads to the end of suffering and sorrow and difficulties and the arising again and again of dhammas, which are, as we've said, are foul and unsatisfactory and anatta and so on.
I found when I listened later this week to that discussion, it's very helpful to hear about that, especially, well, I'd say it was accurate to say we were in a bit of a crisis, but yeah, it's very reassuring to know or to remember that it's all happening by conditions, and there's, conventionally there are things that can be done, but really in reality there aren't. What is arising is by conditions, and it has to happen that way. And I have to say that was reassuring at the time.
And the Dhamma that's rising now, no matter it's clinging or calm or kindness or ignorance, it has to be the way it is. It can't be any other way. Seeing now, hearing, whatever it is, it has to be that way. Deep grief or great worry, however extreme, it has to be like that because it's conditioned at that moment. So the path is really about the understanding and acceptance of what is conditioned to be the way it is. And that's why it takes the courage, because no one can change it or make it any other way.
Yeah, that's very, I think saying acceptance, that's the way it is. And you're right, that takes understanding, and without the understanding, it sounds ridiculous. But that's exactly what there has to be.
And just have those little moments of understanding. There is that letting go for the moment of trying to control or do something or change it or have it another way. So that is the true calm at those moments. But then it's gone instantly, and there's clinging again as usual. but just beginning to appreciate that it is the only way is so helpful.
Yes, I have to say that's correct. For sure. For sure. And thank you, Ajahn, for your words of wisdom last week when I wasn't able to be there, but I subsequently listened and I appreciated that. Thank you very much.
Is accepting the same as understanding?
No. But I think maybe because of some level of understanding, there can be more accepting.
Can it be changed? Accepting?
No.
Really?
Well, if it arises at the time, it arises, but I guess I'm thinking about it in terms of in terms of it can't be any other way. So if there is a sense of accepting that, it doesn't mean that there is necessarily understanding, but it means that one is not fighting it.
As one, accept or do not accept, but it's the I, right?
It's the I, that's correct, yeah. It's the I, yeah.
And one accept the teachings of the Buddha, see, who is greater.
No, one can't accept them. It's understanding that can understand them.
And understand who's the Buddha too.
Mm. Right. Yeah, it's a very subtle point. Thank you.
Sorry, Kapajan. You mentioned some time ago about the near cause and the far cause, and you were talking about I think if you can explain more about the difference between the two, the near cause and the far cause, because I'm not sure I understand what's the difference is. Thank you, John.
That's why we better understand what's meant by near and far. Near means it can be understood or can be known, and far is it can be known, but not as near as what is that which can be known right then. For example, when we talk about feeling, it's easy to understand that without phassa, that which contact the object to the eye and to the experience, the citta, there cannot be feeling of that object, right? That's why it feels towards the object which is there as object experience all the time. That is the near cause for feeling. Because when the object is unpleasant, it's impossible to condition moment of pleasant feeling. So whether it is pleasant or unpleasant feeling, it's because of at that moment, phassa contact what object to citta to be known. That is near because it can be understood. But what about the far cause of feeling, which is vipaka, or which is kusala, or which is akusala? See? That's why just understand what it's meant by far and near, that when it's near, it can be known. But it depends on whether it's known or not. But when it's far, it's not as near as that. It needs time to consider, to think about it, to understand it. For example, what is the cause for any kind of living or being or the world? See, the whole world. And world is one word at a time. So what is the far condition, far cause, not the near cause of now? Because now they're seeing and there is no understanding of seeing. The near cause is the moment of seeing and no understanding of that which appears or that which experiences. So near to know that the ignorance is there, not understanding the truth of that. But what is the far cause which conditions such and such different realities? See, it's not easy, but it's far cause. It's a cause for anything to arise. Ignorance, see?
Right.
That's why just near cause means that which can easily known or be known. But the far cause is quite far, not as easy as that which is near to be known. That's all. So begin to understand when Buddha taught about the near cause and the far cause, for example, the near cause for feeling is phassa that can be known. But what about the other? So he didn't talk about every near cause because what is there can be conditioned for such reality to arise. Even unpleasant look or object condition the unpleasant feeling. See, it cannot condition pleasant feeling. So it's so near cause that can be known. How come to have such feeling, such kind of feeling? Because of the object which is not pleasant. But the far cause, the accumulation of ignorance and so on, conditioned moment of sudden unpleasant feeling by conditions. When it is vipaka, no one can change. But when it is kusala and akusala, it depends on conditions just right at that moment to be pleasant or unpleasant, wholesome or unwholesome. So we try to find out because we know what's meant by near cause and far cause. When the sound of music is so very sweet, it conditions pleasant feeling. What is the near cause? The pleasantness, the pleasant object, condition the pleasant feeling. At that very moment, not far away from that very moment at all. When it's directly experienced, the pleasant feeling is there together at moment of liking it, enjoying it, instantly, not other object. So we can say at moment of liking, what is the near cause? See, ignorance. So it can be near or far depending on that very moment.
In the case of seeing. The near cause would be, as you say, as you are saying, would be the object of seeing, and the far cause would be the ignorance which condition the karma, which condition the seeing, and
can we know that? If it cannot be known, it's far. When it can be known, it's near. That's all.
When talking about proximate cause, it's similar to near cause, or is in a different aspect, Ajahn?
That can be known as cause is near.
Okay. So if it cannot be known, then it's far.
Right, because it cannot be known then. So it's far then, not near at all. Right then.
Okay.
So when we talk about cause or conditions, how many conditions? So many, near or far. And usually the understanding of the truth of that which appears as it is more important than thinking about what is the cause of it or conditions for its arising. For example, Bhagavato Parisya Pajaya, how much is whatever are there to be Bhagavato Parisya Pajaya from years and years ago collected until that very moment. See, even it's there, it's known or not yet. But it's so near because it's there, which can be known. Even it's not known, but it's so near to be known. As proximate cause. That's why Buddha pointed out what is, but it depends on understanding. To understand that and let go. Not just try to understand how much near and how much far it is. Ignorance is near or far now.
it's both, I think.
Did Buddha have to tell everything near and far? Or from understanding what's meant by near and far, one can understand whether it's near or far. Can there be the moment of understanding Hatiyawatu now? It's so true, it's a reality, it's there. But can it be known? Because it is Satarupa, see. That's why it should be understood what is meant by subtle and gross. For example, the object which is seen, the visible object or whatever you say about it, color, a visible object or that which you see, and sound and smell and taste and touch, far or near. By way of gross or subtle. Why it's gross and why it's subtle? And the apotatu, see, can it be known? Even it's there. No need to think just about the word, but understanding the truth. That the near cause can be known, but the far cause is far away as cause, but it can be known, but not as the near one. That's all. Otherwise, no matter how much one tries, when it's not there, how can there be the entity of that before there can be the understanding whether it's gross or subtle, and why it's gross and why it's subtle? Even Jakupasada, no one can see it, even it's there. But it's not the subtle, because it can be known that it must be at moment of seeing. Otherwise, there cannot be seeing the object. It has to be the object which can impinge on the eye base. It means that there must be the rupa, which is different from other rupa. But it's not the subtle rupa, because it can be known at moment of seeing. Even it doesn't appear, but it's there. As it's there, can be known that it's there, but not directly experience it. That's why each word of truth will lead to understanding the truth of that, depending on what it is, subtle or gross, and what it's meant by such words. If one would say visible object is gross because it is seen, but that is not directly experienced as it is, because it appears as something. See? So each word has its own characteristic, which can be directly known stage by stage by right understanding of its truth, little by little. And until it can be directly experienced, because it's so true, the moment when it arises and moment when it falls away, but as the nimitta of many moments, several moments of just that characteristic arising and falling away, and appear as the nimitta of what is there arising and falling away. Just to understand what the world is from life to life, what are really there, unknown, and then being known little by little until it clearly appears to right understanding, to understand what it's meant by no one and no thing. Only different realities appearing one at a time. Even there are so many together, but what appears is only one appears at that moment at a time. Only one at a time. But there are so many things. It means that there are so many moments of experiencing it. And before it can directly be known as no one and no thing, only one reality has to be known as only one. Otherwise, it's not clear at all. And it's there now. And from understanding, little by little, it conditioned moment of directly understanding that unexpectedly will it be? Of what degree? It can be of any degree because of Sankhara Dhamma. No one can have intention or choice to do anything to select anyone to be object. By conditions all the time. What hasn't appeared yet depends on when it will appear, by not any wish or any command of anyone at all, because actually there are no one at all. What is that? Is only that. Visible object cannot be anything, only that which can be seen as it is. So what is seen cannot be anything, only that which can be seen. So it's the beginning of understanding that actually there is no one and no world at all. What is taken from the world is that which has conditions for arising. At the moment when it's there, it arises already. It's a world. And then gone. And this is the truth, what is meant by loka, different from lokutra. See, everything which is now arising and falling away is loka. Without all these reality, how can there be any loka in thought about the whole world? It's so natural. It's now. It can be directly understood, little by little, that it's there for sure, depending on whether there is right understanding of the truth of it or no understanding of it. But nobody can change the truth, the characteristic of that which is now appearing at all. But it's so very short. So thinking about the truth of what we take for the world, just a moment of what appears, only there. When nothing appears, no world. Just learn about what is there in life, each life, from birth to death, that's all. What is the truth? Just arising, experiencing different objects, different thinking about what is there, and then gone and gone and gone and gone. Nothing is there, lasting at all. So it doesn't matter what moment is the moment of being aware and directly understanding what is there, from hearing, considering, on and on and on, developing little by little. Who can change this moment? It's already arising and falling away, completely gone. No more. Never be the same.
Albert, I remember in one discussion, and I don't know if that's the one you were thinking about, but there was a discussion about clinging to Dhamma or clinging to discussion as a condition for understanding. And the comments were that this is very far cause, not the near cause at all, because the near cause is like understanding now, conditions more understanding, but as a far cause, well, any ignorance or clinging in the past can be a condition for understanding, just like jhana chittas can be a condition for clinging, because they can be clinging to anything, but it's not the obvious cause. The obvious cause for understanding is the understanding at this moment. Were you thinking of that example, those kind of examples?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it was that occasion, and also in the COVID-19 talks, she mentioned about near cause of the COVID and the far cause, and we usually try to condition the near cause, like in whatever we do to avoid the COVID, but we don't think about the far causes, which is ignorance and a kusala in the who knows when and where, right?
conditions that can't be known at all. Right? The akusala in the past, past lives, that anything kind of conditioned this, the moment of the akusala vipaka now. I think that the causes get very mixed up too. Like people say, oh, well, if I hadn't gone to the meditation center, then I wouldn't be here listening to the Dhamma because I heard something useful there. So therefore it was a good thing to have gone to the meditation center or the temple and to listen to the monk, even most of what was said was wrong or something. But this is sort of speculating about far causes that can't be known. It's not the understanding of the near cause, which is the understanding now. And it's mixing up the situations, like even talking about COVID, the people mix up the situation. They think, oh, COVID is the akusala vipaka, or being able to meet Kunsachin is the akusala vipaka, but not understanding anything about the realities, like what is COVID-19? It's just different moments of vipaka, different moments of thinking, and some different moments of experiencing hardness or different moments of unpleasant feeling. So many different realities, all arising by different causes.
I was also thinking about metta, and Ajahn was talking earlier about not seeing the danger of not having metta, and that's another of the far causes, I think, of everything which we don't like about life and COVID or whatever. But we see more like the people are the cause for not having metta or something like that. It would be the near cause only.
We also talked about the danger of metta, the danger, whatever arises and falls away. So understanding that even metta, it arises and falls away, but it's the object of clinging, wishing to have more and more metta in life. So in the deepest sense, whatever arises and falls away is dangerous. Jhana Citta, the greatest Jhana Citta, even the Jhana Citta of the Buddha, is dangerous because it falls away. So whatever arises in samsara is dangerous. And that's why if there is the pursuing of metta or the pursuing of samatha, bhavana, and taking it for being the right path, but actually it's the wrong path because it doesn't lead out of samsara at all.
Also, I wanted also to ask about Kayagata Sati as an object of samatha. It's another thing I'm not really sure about much. So I'm just guessing it's about the concept of parts of the body, like the hair of the head, hair of the body, and skin and so on. But I've no idea what it really means. Kayagata Sati. Because also in Satipatthana there is Kayanupasana, Satipatthana, but it just seems like it's the same, but it cannot be the same because of it's about reality, and perhaps the difference is that in samatha is the nimitta is the actual concept of the maybe like the skeleton Ajahn was mentioning earlier. Can you explain more about this, Ajahn? Thank you. Or
Are you there, Ajahn?
Yes, yes.
Did you hear Alberto's question?
Okay. Shall we talk about sati? Not kayanusati or anything yet, but only sati. To understand what we are talking about, even if it's kayanupasana satipatthana, kaya krita sati, that it can be the development of calmness or panya, depending on conditions. See, but shall I talk about just a little bit about the far course and near course in short? For example, what in the past is a far course and what is now at the present moment is near course? Is it just a little understanding more about what is meant by far because it's in the past, which can be conditioned, pakaputtu panisya pancha, and the present moment, the near course for that to arise. And now, talking just about sati, see, if there is no understanding of a characteristic, even we don't name it at all, but it's there, different from other things. And that's why we use the word sati to make it known that is that which is what we're going to talk about. It's not attachment, it's not ignorance, but it's that which not forgetful about what is there as satipatthana, which has been developed enough to understand what is there can be directly understood, the truth of it. So it's different from other moments when there's no understanding of the truth of what is there, but understanding the moment when it is akusala with ignorance, attachment, and anger, and all unwholesome realities, and the moment without those things, because sati just arise, not forgetful about what is there as wholesome, like being friendly or giving what is there for the other who can get some use of it, and so on, or nice word, kindness, and so on, because of that moment of sati, understanding that what is there as wholesome. See, otherwise, what is sati? When it's unwholesome, attachment is not sati. Aversion is not sati. Ignorance is not sati. But sati is a moment of different from the moment of akusala because it's there. And what is the object? Depending on that very moment. So when we talk about kaya kata sati, the sati on contemplating on part of the body, just part of the body, not the whole body. It means that there can be the understanding of the foulness of what is there, which one takes so very dearly to me. It's mine, it's there. I should protect it, I should take care of it, and so on. But in truth, what is it? Not seeing the foulness to know that it's not useful to cling to it and take it so very serious as me or mine at all. But it's there to not liking it because it's so foul. That's why the object of being calm away from ignorance and attachment is the moment of seeing the aspect of being foul of that very object. For example, the teeth, is it foul? Is it kaya kata sati? Pom, the hair, khon, and what is there? And lip, the nail, and nang, the skin, phon, khom, pom, khon, lip, fan, nang, the teeth too. Who sees the foulness of the teeth? See, it's there. How foul it is not to cling to, not to like it as much. The way to keep away from clinging to it because of it's so very attractive and so on. That's the way to have the calmness of not clinging to that as usual. But in a day, no thought about the foulness of whatever of the part of the body is, no matter it's the hair. See, it's so beautiful when it's on the head, but when it's out there from that, in the dish or whatever, you have to pick it up and throw it away. See, why don't you like it and so on? Just thinking about the truth, to be calm away from being attached to it so much. But it's not as easy as one thing that it can appear as so foul, because usually without right understanding, no one can see the foulness of the teeth. If you don't brush it, see, if you just keep it on for days, no brushing at all, what about that? Even for a day or 2 days or more than that. But it's only thinking, not understanding the moment of what is there. More foul than other thing is ignorance. It cannot understand, it's so dirty with such and such unwholesome reality arising together more and more on and on. That's why there are so many ways to think about the truth. The truth is the truth because the most important truth is it's not there anymore. Just appear and disappear. And it conditions like or dislike of it. Why? Only when it appears and not appear, that's all. What's the use of just being? Only that, like or dislike all the time of that which appears. What about understanding the truth that it's not there anymore? Or when it appears, what is the foulness of it? Even it looks very nice, very good, very beautiful, but actually the foulness is that it's the object which seems like something, but actually it's nothing. It's not true. It's false to think about what it appears. So false, is it good? Is it nice? For that which just like magician, see, it's not that, but it seems like that all the time. That's why it needs more and more words to condition, to understand what is true at that very moment. Even seeing so ugly or foul, but when it's not it does not appear as it's there just very shortly, and only there when it appears, and it's not there anymore when it does not appear. This is the truth. But thinking, keep on clinging to that as something nice or not nice, beautiful or not beautiful, far or pleasant, and so on. That's why it's only dreaming and thinking about that which is not there anymore. That's why what is the far cause and near cause for such thinking or clinging on even hearing about it right now? What are there at moment of hearing? And what are there after the moment of hearing? Many jitasikas arising, unknown, see, ugly, because it is not pretty, it's not charming, it's not beautiful at all, not to understand the truth. It depends on the word you just try to explain what is there, as it's not as pleasant as it is, not as pleasant as it is. Because when it's there and when there is attachment, why it's the object of attachment if it's not pleasant. So it's there unknowingly all the time. What condition, what, and what is there and what is not there, until the words of the truth about it is known as it is, little by little. So not just follow the word as you think about foulness, but what about what is meant deeper than that? The absolute, the abstract truth. All depends on thinking, considering about what is there. It's not fixed to have only such this idea only, but what about the truth of that in different manners, in different ways, by accumulation, the far cause which condition this moment to be such and such, different thinking. But the truth is that everything gone is not there, just as it's there a moment ago, never to be found again. Just talking about it, thinking about it. And what about what is there now? It's the only moment to understand the truth of what is there. Is it foul? Not understanding the truth? Beautiful? Even the word beauty, see, depends on understanding. Abstract sense or not. Is the truth beautiful? Is the false ugly? See, very abstract.
Thank you, Ajahn.
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ
Thank you, everyone.